The simple fact is your thoughts create your life, or more to the point, your perception of life. If there is one thing that will change everything in your life, it's your thoughts and your mindset. The way you perceive your reality is what will ultimately determine your reality. And the lucky thing is you can actually control your thoughts towards a more empowering reality and towards a life you actually want to have. Hi there, if you're new here, I'm Antonie and I talk about self-development for women and feminine people and how to create a more energized and empowered life that you love. So if that sounds like something for you, make sure to click that subscribe button. And just a really quick note, if you've been watching some of the previous videos, you might notice that we have a slightly different background and we have a slightly different haircut. And that's just because at the end of the year, my partner and I moved out of London, and I also decided to get a haircut and chop off some of my hair. So I hope you like it. So let's face it, the reality is in life, the only thing that you can truly control is your thoughts and your mindset and the way that you behave in life. You can't always control your circumstances, you can't control how things play out, and you also just can't control what other people do. So changing your mindset won't automatically change your circumstances, but it will change how you feel and how you handle and show up in your circumstances, which will ripple into your next circumstances because you made better and more empowered choices in the past. Speaking of taking charge of your thoughts, I just wanted to take a quick minute to check if you've already grabbed your free 5-minute journal. That's all about taking a different perspective of your day so that you can start feeling more energized, empowered, and fulfilled in your everyday life. Because you can actually change how you feel about your day in less than 5 minutes by asking yourself 2 simple questions. And you'll find those questions in a link in the description box below. So if you're ready to start taking charge of your own life and starting where it's most important, meaning your thoughts, then I really recommend checking that out if you haven't already. And do remember, it's for free. It's important to remember that changing your mindset and kind of up-leveling and upgrading your mindset doesn't mean that you'll never have unpleasant emotions again or that you'll never have any challenging circumstances ever again. But changing the way you view your life and the meaning that you attach to your circumstances changes the conclusion that you draw from your circumstances. And it gives you a higher sense of purpose and empowerment. And to kind of illustrate this, I want to bring up a really quick story that I heard going to one of Tony Robbins' events. And he was speaking to this woman who had lost her daughter a couple years back, and her daughter only turned about 3. And this woman was talking about how in the beginning she felt so devastated and angry and frustrated and sad, which anyone would. And she was basically talking about how she was trying to find the meaning behind this and understand why this had to happen. And essentially feeling like the victim in the situation, which again is completely understandable. But then she started talking about how she had started to view it in a different way. And she had realized that even though the experience of losing her daughter was horrible and heartbreaking and devastating, she still felt like having her daughter and having lost her was 1,000,000 times better than never having her at all. Because at least she got to know her, at least she got to nurture her, at least she got the experience of having her daughter in the first place. And having known her, now it would be unimaginable to never have had her daughter in the first place. And the point of this is just that you can't always change your circumstances. You can't always change what happens in your life, what you lose, what you gain, and how things play out. But you can change and determine what meaning you attach to the situation. You define whether you see a problem or an opportunity, or whether you see a pain or a gain. And with this, I want to give you another example. Imagine that you are at a coffee shop and you're ordering your coffee for the morning. And right in front of you is this woman who's been tapping her foot the whole time standing in the line. And she's been looking at her watch and sighing and just being clearly unhappy. And then she makes the order and you make your order right after and you both go to wait for your coffee. And then her coffee comes first and she tastes it and she realizes it's not her coffee order. It's the wrong coffee. They made the wrong one. Now imagine that she blows up. Like, you're not surprised. You could see that she was pissed off before she even got in. So she blows up and she yells at the barista and she calls her names and she says that she will never come back to this place ever again because it's crap and you've ruined my day, and she storms off, and you kind of know what kind of day that woman is going to have, right? Now imagine the same situation, but the woman in front of you is standing peacefully in the line, just looking around, being fine, being happy. She's very friendly with the barista when she makes her order, and maybe the barista doesn't hear something and then she just repeats and she's like, oh no, that's okay, I get it, it's loud. She goes over to wait for her coffee and she's just standing there. The coffee, the same thing, it's wrong. But instead of yelling and blowing up, she's like, hey, sorry, I just realized that my coffee isn't the one that I ordered. Would be okay if you make another one. And the barista's like, oh my god, I'm so sorry. No, that's fine. We have a million coffees to make a day. I'm not in a rush. It's all good. And you can tell what kind of day that person's gonna have when she leaves. So the situation is the same. Both women had to wait in line. They had to order from a barista and they had to wait for their coffees, only to get the wrong cup of coffee. The situation was exactly the same, and yet they took it completely differently. And you could tell that they were going to leave that coffee shop and enter into completely different days. Now you might be thinking, yeah, but the first one had a really crappy day and, her cat was sick or her dog died yesterday, and the other one is just living easy breezy life and doing okay. But let me tell you, what if the first lady was just living her average day life? Nothing huge had happened. She had been to work the day before. She was going to work again. She was fine. While let's say the other one was a CEO who had to fire 3 people the day before, 3 people she really didn't want to fire, but who she had to because they just didn't have any more space in their budget. And her dog died the day before, and her mom is sick right now. And the reason she's getting a cup of coffee is because she's on her way to visit her mom at the hospital. And would you still say the same, that the first one had the excuse to behave the way that she was? Because that's how it plays out in reality. The people who are content and happy and grateful and friendly aren't necessarily the people who are just having it easy. And the people who are kind of mean and crappy don't necessarily have an excuse to act that way. The thing that changes the way they view the situation is their thoughts and their mindset. Whether they're standing there thinking negative and down-putting thoughts, or if they're just assuming that everything and everyone is incompetent and against them, or if they're saying that, hey, life happens for me and I'm so grateful that I get to get a cup of coffee in the first place, so who cares if the order was wrong, and hey, time is moving at the same pace no matter how and where I go, so if I'm 2 minutes later than I was supposed to be, then what can you do? That's the thing that changes your life and the way that you view your life and the way that you show up in it is your thoughts. It is your mindset. And when it comes to changing your mindset and how important your mindset and your thoughts are for your life and your love and your happiness, there's a really, really good book called You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay that is amazing, and it's essentially all about how your thoughts create your life and how you can heal your life if you start by focusing on your thoughts and if you start by changing your mindset. And it's both a great starter book if you're kind of new into personal development and you want a great place to start. I really recommend that book. But it's also a great place to just go back to the basics and really go to where it's simple and where it's just what matters the most. So I'll add a link to it in the description box just in case you want to check it out. So the bottom line is, if you want to change your life, you need to start by changing your thoughts and what goes on in your head. Because that is the one thing that's going to distinguish you from being someone who yells at an innocent barista or complains to her friends about how everything always happens to me, and the person who can find the silver lining in challenges and chooses to step forward with joy, love, and empowerment no matter what life throws in her way. So I really hope that this video brought you some value, and if it did, I'd love for you to click that like button. It really helps me out, and feel free to leave a comment as well. Make sure to subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss out any new videos, and in the meantime, check out these videos.